Which country is the freest in the world, and why isn't it the United States? Every year, researchers compile what's known as the Human Freedom Index, which measures how free each country is in the world. The most important factors that go into the index are things like economic freedom, personal liberty, government's respect for private property rights, and of course the rule of law. So obviously, the United States is at least near the top of the list, right? Sadly, no. In fact, it's nowhere near as close as you would think. According to the most recent report for 2022, the US came in 23rd place. And that figure has been plummeting in recent years. In just the past 3 years, the US has fallen 7 places, putting it just barely ahead of Malta and right behind Austria. So, what are the freest countries in the world? Well, according to the index, it's Ireland, Denmark, Estonia, New Zealand, and at the top of the list, Switzerland. Now, there's a lot of things that go into measuring this, and not all of them are equal. Shockingly, the United States doesn't even rank among the top 30 nations in the world when looking at personal freedom. And while America does score much higher than most European countries in economic freedom, it's still not even in the top 5. So, what makes Switzerland the freest nation in the world? Well, maybe it's because compared to the US, it has very little government control over the economy, significantly fewer taxes and regulations, and an outstanding record of defending freedom of speech and expression. The Swiss government is tiny compared to the behemoth in Washington, D.C. It's easy to start a business, easy to keep what you've earned, and easy to criticize your own government without being shut down by an unaccountable bureaucratic state in the process. While the U.S. has been moving rapidly toward a unitarian system where more and more power is concentrated in the hands of out-of-touch politicians in Washington, D.C., Switzerland's official name gives away one of its biggest strengths. The Confederation has embraced a decentralized system that grants individual cantons the authority to make decisions on things like taxes, regulations, and public services. And this localized approach allows for people to live in peace without constantly trying to impose their will on their neighbors. What few things the Swiss government actually does engage in, they do well. Crime, for example, is virtually non-existent, and the rule of law is widely respected and upheld. So why exactly isn't the US at the top of the list? Well, for many years, it was. In fact, the US was once among the freest countries in the world when it came to both personal and economic freedom. But since the dawn of the 21st century, America has taken a nosedive as the federal government has rapidly expanded its involvement in a host of issues that were once reserved for the states, localities, or individuals. It turns out that simply being able to vote is not synonymous with freedom. And the farther the US moves from respecting that fact, the farther down the list it will go. But thankfully, like Switzerland, the United States does have a federalist system, and it may be the only thing that ends up saving us.